Namaste, Namaskaram, and welcome back to Infinite Abundance. Today we begin one of the most extraordinary journeys this channel has ever undertaken. We are going to walk through the complete story of Dasavatara, the 10 incarnations of Lord Vishnu, the 10 avatars, the 10 chapters of evolution, one unfolding story of life itself. But before we begin, I want to ask you something. What if the ancient sages of India were not just telling stories? What if, encoded within the 10 forms of Vishnu, they were describing something we have only recently come to understand through modern science, the evolution of life on this very planet? What if the Dasavatara, written thousands of years ago, is a map, not only of mythology, but of existence itself? Because when you lay the 10 avatars side by side, in sequence, in order, and compare them to what modern evolutionary science tells us about the history of life on Earth, something astonishing happens. The two stories begin to rhyme. Let me walk you through the 10. Matsya, the fish, life begins in water. Kurma, the tortoise, life moves from water to land. Varaha, the boar, humanity masters the earth. Narasimha, the man-lion, animal instinct meets human consciousness. Vamana, the dwarf, intelligence and strategy emerge. Parashurama, the warrior, society demands justice and law. Rama, the ideal prince, ethics become the foundation of civilization. Krishna, the philosopher, wisdom guides leadership. Buddha, the enlightened one, the mind turns inward, and Kalki, the warrior on the white horse, who is yet to come, which is the avatar of the future. From fish to philosopher, from survival in the ocean to enlightenment of mind, the Dasavatara traces the full arc of what it means to be alive on this planet. And if you look at the sequence through the lens of Darwin's theory of evolution, aquatic life, amphibious life, land mammals, proto-humans, organized human society, moral consciousness, philosophical thought, spiritual awakening, the parallel is not approximate, it is exact. The ancient sages called it dharma. Science calls it evolution, and they are both, at their deepest level, describing the same unstoppable forward movement of life towards greater and greater complexity, greater and greater awareness. Now, this episode, we begin at the very beginning, before kingdoms, before language, before civilization. We begin in the ocean. This episode is all about the Matsyavatara, the fish avatar, when life began in water. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the world before recorded time. There are no cities, no roads, no written language. The sky is vast and wild. The ocean stretches in every direction. Dark, churning, teeming, with life that has not yet learned to walk on land. This is the world of the first avatar, the Matsyavatara. According to the Puranas, in this ancient age, a great catastrophe loomed. The sacred knowledge of the universe, the Vedas, the very blueprint of existence, had been stolen. A demon called Shankhasura had seized the scriptures and plunged them into the depths of the cosmic ocean, hiding them where no god could reach. Without the Vedas, there would be no order, no dharma, no understanding of how life should be lived. The universe would unravel into permanent chaos. And so, Vishnu, the preserver, the one who sustains all of the creation, took his first earthly form. He descended into the primordial waters, not as a warrior, not as a king, but as a fish. This is the first great mystery of the Dasavatara. Why a fish? Why not something powerful like a lion, a celestial being, a god in full divine form? The answer is profound, because at the very beginning of life, the only form that could survive was aquatic. Life itself began in water, and Vishnu, the consciousness that sustains all creation, began there too. The story of Matsya begins quietly, with a sage named Manu sitting by the river, washing his hands in prayer. In his cupped palms, he felt something small and alive, a tiny fish, no bigger than a minnow. And the fish spoke. "Protect me," it said, "and I will protect you." Manu was a compassionate man. He placed the fish gently in a small clay pot and brought it home. He fed it, watched over it, spoke to it, and then the fish grew. By the next morning, it had overgrown the pot. Manu moved it to a larger vessel. It outgrew that too. He carried it to a lake. It filled the lake. He carried it to the river. It filled the river. Until finally, Manu looked upon a creature of impossible scale, luminous and golden, with a single horn upon its brow. And the fish revealed himself as Vishnu. "Manu," the great fish said, "a deluge is coming, a flood unlike anything the world has seen. You must build a great ark. Gather the 7 sages, the seeds of every plant, and 1 pair of every living creature. When the waters come, I will guide you." And then the waters came. The rains fell for days, then weeks. The rivers swelled. The ocean rose. The land disappeared beneath an endless expanse of dark water. Everything that humanity had built, every settlement, every shelter, every small flame of civilization was swallowed by the deep. But Manu's ark held. And Matsya appeared, vast and golden, cutting through the raging floods like a force of nature. The cosmic serpent Vasuki was tied from the horn of Matsya to the prow of the ark, and the great fish pulled the vessel forward through the storm. Through crashing waves, through darkness, through the howling chaos of a world being unmade. And as Matsya guided the ark, the great fish dived into the depths, slew the demon Shankhasura, and retrieved the stolen Vedas, returning them to safety, to Manu, and to the world. When the waters finally receded, the ark came to rest on the peak of a mountain. Manu stepped out of it onto new earth. With him came the sages, the seeds, the animals, and the Vedas. The world could begin again. This is the heart of the Matsya story, and it is a lesson that every civilization across human history has had to learn. In a crisis, what you save matters more than what you build. Manu did not try to save his house, his wealth, or his throne. He saved knowledge. He saved living things. He saved the seeds of the future. The Vedas represent everything that makes civilization possible: language, ethics, science, philosophy, the understanding of how the universe works. Without them, humanity would have to start from nothing. With them, even a world wiped clean by flood could rise again. Matsya did not just save Manu's life, he saved the possibility of everything that would come after. Now, let us step back from the sacred story and look at what modern science tells us, because the parallels are extraordinary. All life on Earth began in water. The earliest single-celled organisms appeared in the oceans approximately 3.8 billion years ago. For most of Earth's history, life was entirely aquatic. The first vertebrates were fish, and the transition from water to land, one of the most pivotal moments in the history of life, happened over hundreds of millions of years ago. Around 541 million years ago, during what scientists call the Cambrian explosion, there was a sudden, dramatic diversification of aquatic life. Complex organisms appeared seemingly overnight in geological terms, just as Matsya appeared suddenly, fully formed in the sacred story. And then there are the flood myths. Every ancient civilization, the Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, China, the Americas, and India, has a flood story. Scholars believe this is not coincidence. Towards the end of the last ice age, approximately 10,000 to 7,000 years ago, catastrophic flooding occurred across the world as glaciers melted. Sea levels rose by hundreds of feet. Coastal settlements were drowned. Humanity's oldest, deepest memory, preserved in story across every culture on earth, is of water, survival, and beginning again. The sages who composed the Puranas did not have electron microscopes or geological surveys, but somehow they knew life began in water. The first avatar was a fish, and the first great lesson of human civilization was preserve what matters when the world falls apart. Science maps the history of life in fossils and data. The Dasavatara maps the same history in story and symbol. Both begin in exactly the same place, the ocean, and both tell us the same thing, that survival requires adaptation and that wisdom is the most precious thing any civilization can preserve. So, what does Matsya teach us? Not as mythology, but as lived wisdom. 3 things. The first is adaptability. Life does not survive by staying the same. It survives by changing form, by growing, by responding to its environment, by becoming something it was not before. Matsya grew from a minnow to fill an ocean. Humanity grew from scattered survivors into civilization. Evolution works exactly this way, not through perfection, but through constant creative adaptation. The second is preservation. What you carry through a crisis determines what rises from it. Manu carries the Vedas. He carried seeds. He carried living creatures. In every great upheaval of human history, what survives is not the tallest tower or the largest army, but the ideas, the stories, and the seeds that people held on to when everything else was swept away. And the third is foresight. Manu was warned before the flood arrived. He listened, he prepared, he acted. The universe sent a signal, and he has the wisdom to receive it. This is perhaps the deepest teaching of Matsya. Consciousness is not passive, it sends guidance. The question is whether we are still enough to hear it. Vishnu did not descend as Matsya because fish are sacred. He descended as a fish because that was the form the world needed at that moment. The avatar always matches the era. The teaching always fits the crisis. And the Dasavatara is, at its heart, the story of a consciousness that keeps showing up in different forms across different ages. Because it will not allow life to be extinguished. It will not allow wisdom to be lost. It will not allow dharma to disappear from the world. The waters have receded. The ark has come to rest. A new world is beginning, green and quiet, washed clean by the flood. Manu steps out onto the earth. The Vedas are safe. The living creatures are safe. The seeds of civilization are safe. And somewhere in the depths of the ocean, the great golden fish has returned to the formless waters from which it came. Its work complete. One avatar has descended. 9 remain. And the 10th, the warrior on a white horse, yet to appear. Watches from beyond time, waiting for the moment the world needs him most. We are still living inside this story. The Dasavatara is not over. It is not even close to over. In our next episode, we move from water to stability, from survival to structure. The cosmic ocean must be churned, and Vishnu will descend again, this time as a tortoise, supporting the weight of the universe on his back. Episode 2, Kurma, the tortoise avatar, the foundation of all things, will come in a couple of days. Until then, I'm grateful you're here. I'm grateful you're listening. This is Infinite Abundance, and these are the 10 Faces of Vishnu.